The next segment in IDT I want to discuss is truth bias and suspicion. The effect of truth bias and suspicion on the detection of deception is very important in understanding the theory as a whole. Humans have a tendency to believe what they are told. This is referred to as truth bias. Although many individuals will believe in content and interpersonal conversation, individuals can come to doubt the validity of information conveyed. This is known as suspicion. When someone's suspicious of somebody else in a conversation, they can always make it known by their body language and their verbal and nonverbal cues. This leads us into what is known as leakage. The leakage hierarchy was developed by Myron Zuckerman and Robert Driver. This is an assumption that our body language will give us away when we're being deceitful. Like I mentioned in the example of being a child and breaking the lamp, my body language would give away that I was lying. That's very common in human tendencies. Some people, for example, celebrities and politicians like Bill Clinton that I already talked about, have been trained to allow for no room for leakage. They are specifically told they can't show any emotion on their face, they can't use any hand gestures that will make them look like they're lying. Knowing these tendencies, knowing what to look for in a deceptive person, can also help someone that is deceitful hide their deception. That can be confusing, but it makes sense. So another thing we also wonder in IDT and is described is motivation for deception. What is causing people to be deceptive? Why are they doing this? Why are they lying? When looking at IDT and real life situations, one would have to wonder, what is motivating this person to be deceptive? A quote from Eddie, 2009, which is very important in describing motivation for deception, states, "But knowing what leads people to form deception intent tells us something about what happens when people are deceived and why they do so. People are prone to deceive others when the truth poses some obstacle to goal attainment." So that right there just says if the truth isn't the best possible scenario, people will bend the truth or they'll tell white lies to make the truth sound a lot better. And moving on to the strengths of IDT, the theory overall is great. Like I had mentioned at the beginning, there's nothing before IDT to describe deception, which is why the theory is so great. Buller and Bergen did a great job in creating the theory. A strength, for example, would be that IDT breaks down the verbal and nonverbal cues or leakage people have in communication, which can decipher whether or not someone is being dishonest. This is very important in everything we do to know if someone is being deceitful. We need to know how to communicate with others. The theory shows individuals how to look for deceptive behavior. Through the literature, we know that one will give away deceptiveness through verbal and nonverbal leakage. So this is something we always have to be looking for. Weaknesses in the theory consist of the fact that the sender can be very deceitful and hide the fact that they're dishonest. Like I mentioned with Bill Clinton or other celebrities who have to hide or lie about things, they are trained to hide their deception. So this is an issue where it's kind of a weakness in the theory because how can we spot that? When someone's trained so well, how do we spot that they're being deceitful? And moving on, with weaknesses, another weakness in IDT is that in the conclusion of the theory, we're not really told what to do when we realize someone is being deceitful. The best place to look for this is right in the Bible. The Bible tells us exactly what to do and how to deal with people that are being deceitful. A common verse we've heard a million times is do unto others as you would have them do to you. That's something that if someone's being deceitful, we need to show them respect back, and because that's what we would want to have in turn. Another great verse is Galatians 6:7-8, which states, "Do not be deceptive. God is not mocked. For whatever one sows, that will he also reap. For one who sows to his own flesh will from the flesh reap corruption, but the one who sows from the Spirit will from the Spirit recap eternal life." And that's a really important verse, just showing what we need to invest our time in and not to be deceitful and to invest everything we have into the Lord. So in conclusion, in summing up my presentation, Buller and Burgoon do a wonderful job at describing IDT and showing how to spot deception in a conversation. but it is our part as Christians to be responsible to the Lord and to deal with deception how the Lord instructs us to in the Bible. So thank you so much for listening to my presentation. I hope you learned a lot about interpersonal deception theory, and I hope you all finish off the class strong. Thank you.